Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of Fernie City Council held at 6:30 p.m. on August 27th, 2024. Kisuk. We acknowledge the city of Fernie is located within Kukinamakas, the unceded territory of Yakitat-Nucleat. We recognize that we live and work within their vast lands. Akanahunik are from Yakitat-Nucleat and are members of the Ktunaxa-speaking peoples of British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana. I'll call the meeting to order and ask for a mover and a seconder for the approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor McIsaac, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, Councillor Shoesmith. I appreciate that. I have to remember to glance at my screen. And now I'll ask for a mover and a seconder of the following recommendation: the minutes of the August 13th, 2024 regular council meeting be adopted. Moved by Councillor McIsaac, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Councillor Ramirez, is that discussion?
Yeah,
okay.
Just a small point. But I was looking at the public participation. There's like first name, last name for a list of people, and there is one Mr. Lee. Found it really funny.
Yeah, I think we probably missed his first name. It's Jay for the record. Yeah, thank you. I now open the floor to public participation and invite the public in attendance or participating electronically who wish to comment on items listed on the meeting agenda in accordance with section 3.7.3 of the procedure bylaw to address council, except speakers must not address council regarding a matter for which a public hearing must be held or has been held pursuant to the Local Government Act prior to council's consideration of the matter or adoption of the bylaw. Speakers must not address council regarding a permit for which public notice must be given or has been given pursuant to the Local Government Act prior to council's consideration of issuance of the permit. Any speaker may only address council for a maximum of 3 minutes. And I'll first look to the gallery. Does anybody in the gallery wish to speak? Please identify yourself at the microphone, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Your Worship and City Councillors. My name is Yika Gayorki. I'm the Executive Officer of the Tourism Fernie Society based out of 102 Commerce Road. Thank you for providing this public participation period opportunity. I'm here to comment on agenda item 6.1. Tourism Fernie would like to see Council rescind their resolution to UBCM regarding MRDT overhaul to enable investment in infrastructure. I ask this not just as Tourism Fernie, but on behalf of the tourism industry in Fernie, and as fully supported by the Tourism Industry Association of BC, the BC Hotel Association, and the BC DMO Association for multiple reasons. One, MRDT is Tourism Fernie's primary funding mechanism and our local tourism industry's primary funding to support tourism growth and sustainability. Two, the City of Fernie did not consult or inform Tourism Fernie of this resolution in advance. Tourism Fernie only found out after the fact. Our two organizations have committed to being collaborative, and this was not collaborative. Three, Tourism Fernie does not support this resolution. And four, the MRDT program is a best-in-class user pay system in BC recognized nationally for funding and supporting tourism. Tourism is an economic sector in BC that generates the highest GDP of primary resource industry, more than mining, more than oil and gas, more than forestry, fishing, and agriculture. While recognizing that all municipalities are challenged for resources and therefore must explore various funding opportunities to develop and maintain infrastructure, destabilizing the valuable contribution of the tourism sector by diverting a portion of its primary business development investment fund will ultimately lead to lower tax revenues locally, loss of workers and jobs, potential business closures, and fewer visitors. We believe there are other alternatives akin to the RMI that are more appropriate avenue to source capital for much needed infrastructure. Tourism Fernie would like to collaborate with the City of Fernie on these challenges, actions, and solutions. We would again like to see Council rescind the resolution at tonight's meeting regarding the MRDT program overhaul to enable investment in infrastructure going to UBCM. To work with Tourism Fernie and the tourism industry on these matters collaboratively, and I'd be happy to follow up with additional information on the MRDT program and its importance to BC and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gayoki. And I'll check with Ms. Rose. Anybody online who wishes to speak? No. That brings us to item number 6, Committee of the Whole, and I'll ask for a mover and a seconder. The council enter into Committee of the Whole. Moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Audia Kelly. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. With that, I will turn to item 6.1, which has already been referenced, and a report from Director McConnell.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation for this matter, but it's a committee of the whole discussion towards the upcoming UBCM meetings. At the May 28th regular council meeting, council directed a request for 5 minister meetings at UBCM: Municipal Affairs, Minister of Environment and Climate Change Strategy, Minister of Housing, Minister of Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport, and Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. All 5 meetings have been requested. To the time of writing this report, there have been 2 regrets and no confirmations, but ironically, the confirmation I received about half an hour ago was from Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport. To confirm as well, the staff meeting requests all had to be in last week, so those were submitted a couple of weeks ago. So we have staff meeting requests for all of these topics as well, because we had no confirmation of any meetings prior to that time. At that May 28th meeting, council had expressed a desire to discuss the approach to the minister meetings and the staff meetings, and to identify potentially if there should be an identification of a lead council member for each topic, and also to acknowledge that the conference agenda may be impacting some of these meetings that are being scheduled. And here's another bit of irony: the Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport meeting, which is solely on the topic of council's resolution on the MRDT, happens to be during the resolution session of UBCM. So they're taking you out of the room for the time that your resolution's before them. The UBCM agenda or program is now online. It wasn't originally online, completed at the time I wrote the report. We are preparing the usual support binders for council, and that will have your usual confirmation of your travel arrangements and your expense policy, as well as the minister meeting dates, times, location, and all supporting materials that we would normally put together. So those will all be prepared. And after tonight's conversation, depending on the direction we receive. But essentially, this is brought forward based on the discussion around having a conversation about preparing for those meetings. And so I present that report, and we'll now turn it over to yourselves for your conversation.
Council, questions, comments? Councillor Audia Kelly?
Councillor Audia Kelly, your microphone. Sorry.
Director. I actually would like to motion that we withdraw our MRDT resolution. I'll give you my rationale. Many of us at this table campaigned on openness, transparency, and communication, and we enshrined those values in our strategic priorities. And I feel that we really failed to do any of those actions with a valued community partner. We didn't advise them or discuss, as was mentioned in the public participation. And we really haven't done an analysis of the potential impacts or unintended consequences of the resolution. And I think it aligns with council's strategic priorities to step back and reevaluate the resolution with the lens of transparency and collaboration. We've worked hard at being an open and transparent council that people can come and communicate to, and I understand the pressure that we're under for dollars, that none of us wants to raise taxes, but I feel that there are possibly other or better sources of funds that we can pursue. I'm concerned about the impact this will have throughout the province on other municipalities as well as our own. I just feel that we didn't do enough. I hate to use the words pros and cons, but we didn't really do an analysis of, is this a great idea? Is it not? So I don't think it would be remiss to take a step back. So thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the table. Does anybody wish to second the motion? Councilor Ramirez? Any further discussion? Councilor Hamilton?
Just as a point of order, are we able to rescind it now? It's already been sent to UBCM. It's already gone through the AKBLG process, the UBCM process, and I think that ship has sailed, if I'm not correct.
I would look to others who are more familiar with the process. Councilor McIsaac, you're on the, or we're on the committee, as I believe, at AKBLG. Do you understand the stepwise process?
Well, what I don't know about the internals of the UBCM process, but it is already going to appear in the resolution booklet. It's already going to be discussed. It's already going to be voted on. What I would suggest is, if we're considering as a group changing our mind, the solution would be to have members from our council attend the resolution, speak in opposition to it, and explain why. That may sway some people who otherwise intended to, who would otherwise be favored to support it. I can wait my turn, but I'm going to speak against. I'll speak against the resolution.
Speak against the resolution or the motion, I'm sorry.
It's against the motion, rather, sorry. So I agree with Councillor Hamilton that the ship has probably sailed anyway. To speak to Councillor Audio's point, I agree with pretty much everything that Councillor Audio said, and I still think the MRDT resolution should go forward. And that's primarily because what's important to have is the conversation. The communities that need to have this conversation are the ones like ours who have the greatest amount of impact from tourism on our community, and need to have that conversation about how we are going to leverage the sources of income that are available to us. 6,200 people in town, we are paying for infrastructure for 20,000 people at times. And so I think, not that I necessarily want to see it change, but I think the conversation absolutely has to be had. And I would like to be in the room and hear what the other communities that are benefiting from MRDT say about that as well. I want to hear the conversation. I want to have the discussion. And that's why I would like to see the resolution there.
Thank you. Other comments? Councilor Hamilton?
Thank you. I too, I fully appreciate the need for us to be collaborative and work with community partners. That is actually, in my opinion, the point of bringing this forward, so that we can have this discussion in the community, across the province, everywhere, bring in many more partners, be much more discursive and collaborative on what the future of this tax stream is. To Councillor McIsaac's point, we are a relatively small community paying the infrastructure for a very large tourism base. And unless we want to start raising property taxes significantly to be able to afford upgrades to all of our basic infrastructure, we need to explore other options. That's not to say that if this does get passed at UBCM, that we are going to see an MRDT overhaul that is going to allow it to shift some of the money towards infrastructure. This is the process we need to go through to become more collaborative, to have the discussion, to find these other sources of income for our community's infrastructure needs.
Thank you. Councillor Ramirez?
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm going to support Councillor Audio Kelly's motion here. And my reasoning here is I got elected in this town, and it is the duty of care for me to be actually speaking to our stakeholders, including the chamber and all the small businesses and tourism Fernie and everyone else. So and like Councillor mentioned, we ran on a platform of transparency and open communication. So I think we missed the crucial step of actually engaging with our partners on this particular resolution. Even when this resolution came up to the table, Your Worship, I was in two minds, but I gave the benefit of doubt to my colleague, thinking that that analysis or that engagement was done on their own, on their own personal initiative there. But appears like that step has been missed with tourism Fernie. So let's do that first before we get out of our town into a provincial level discussion. That would be my point of view.
Thank you. Yeah, Councillor Shoesmith, sorry. Thank you, Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor Milligan. Good points all around. I too am of two minds on this. I mean, the looming issue for this town is, as I believe it was Councillor McIsaac pointed out, that we're supporting, and apologies if it wasn't, but that, we're supporting a much larger group of people than are paying property taxes here. And for that reason, I'm always keen to look at any way that we can get that support to shore that up. However, as to Councillor Audia Kelly's and Councillor Ramadas's points, we did kind of blindside our tourism community with this, and that is a rather large portion of the town. For this reason, I think I'll be supporting Councillor Audia Kelly's motion here, knowing full well this is already going to UBCM. I'm eager to have that conversation there, and I'm eager to have the conversation with our tourism community about this. It occurs to me this is something that we need to be collaborating with them on, actually. And I'm not exactly sure what the right venue or mechanism is, but the issue, as pointed out by my fellows on the other side of the table over there, is real, and we need to talk to them about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McIsaac.
Thank you, Worship. Just a last comment on here. The object of going and having the discussion about the MRDT and the opportunities for the community are not in opposition to our having a good relationship and conversation with Tourism Fernie or other groups in the community. This is an opportunity for the community to explore, and I would assume that we would be having conversations with Tourism Fernie and our other partners before we changed how funding was actually going. This is merely providing the opportunity for a tool. It doesn't say we're now going to ride roughshod over everyone and take their money away. That's not what the goal of it is, and I don't think anybody's ever suggested otherwise.
Yeah, I have had a conversation with Tourism Fernie, and I have accepted responsibility for not engaging them prior to this coming to the table, notwithstanding the fact that it came to the table spontaneously brought by another councillor in an open meeting and was discussed in an open meeting. And we likely should have had that conversation long before we advanced it to AK or BLG if it was a considerable sore point, which I respect. It is. However, a couple of things worth pointing out. We wouldn't be the first community to go down this road. I mean, Tofino is using MRDT to build their wastewater treatment plant. Yeah, and so others have taken off. I've pulled the Band-Aid off. Let me put it that way. And our resolution has created a huge conversation in the province. I've heard it from several sources, including at AKBLG. We heard, well, what is Fernie thinking? So there is a conversation out there, and I think it is a conversation worth having, because I think the genesis of the resolution is not to necessarily to dismantle MRDT. The genesis of the resolution is to create more stable, reliable funding sources for our communities, particularly our tourism dependent communities, which are, as I understand it, 34 in the province. I'm looking at Mrs. Gayorki and I think there's 13 RMI communities, 14. Thank you. Yeah, 13 would be an unlucky number. So I think there's going to be a robust conversation around this. I have a lot of sympathy for the position that Tourism Fernie has taken on this. We've had considerable conversations since this resolution came forward. I tend to agree. I think we saw that at AKBLG. I think we withdrew one resolution, but we're told you can't withdraw a resolution from the floor once it's in the process. So I suspect the same is here. So the conversation will be had. I suspect whether we support it going forward or not. Councillor Ramanas, did you have a further comment? Yeah, so I'd look to staff to see if there's any other insights that they can offer in terms of conversations they've been party to in the wider tourism world. Mr. Bornowski.
Thank you, Worship. If I may, specifically, Mr. McConnell and I were discussing, UBCM doesn't, on the face of it, provide a mechanism for withdrawing a resolution once it is on the floor. However, council can make or rescind any resolution here at the table they so desire, and certainly could change the shape of the discussion or the meeting with the minister quite easily and with comments from the floor. Specific conversations through the Resort Community Collaborative, which would be the RMI community CAOs. We are all facing very similar challenges, whether you're looking at infrastructure and service challenges in Osoyoos or in Kimberley. And then here in Fernie, I've been looking at annual reporting for our RMI program. And when we look at the demand, not just on our infrastructure, let's say on our trails, where 90% of the people logging rides on Strava or Trail Forks are visitors, not locals. When you look at a rainy day now, 3 of our seasons, and you're on a waiting list at the aquatic center because the pool is at capacity, even with full staffing, like there are very real visitor service impacts as well as infrastructure impacts. And none of us are able to cope with the baseline funding that we can leverage off of property taxation in a fair and equitable way. So this is a very live discussion. The CAOs are working and continue to work on a specific position paper on what the real needs are and what are some other alternative comparable models. And certainly none of us are suggesting that dismantling the very effective destination marketing organizations or destination management organizations, stable funding or function is going to be a winning formula for tourism upon which we really do rely. So I think the resort community CAOs, of course, all serve at the pleasure of their councils, but none of us are getting direction or providing recommendations that dismantling a DMO or the funds that really do allow for some industry influence of the stewardship of a destination is a good move forward. I don't have a specific recommendation for you on how to approach this challenge, but that would be the context I'd like to provide.
No, I really appreciate that, Mr. Bornowski, because as I say, there is a wider conversation in the community, and we have been either directly involved or tangentially involved in that conversation, and I've said it at one point at this table. I wouldn't want to be working, amongst other things, at cross purposes with our fellow resort communities and jeopardize something, particularly for the 34 that are considered tourism dependent communities that as you have indicated and others have indicated, really rely on this money to support their infrastructure and other things, or their tourism infrastructure. and operations and their destination marketing. Yeah, for me, recognizing it's on the book, so to speak. It's going to appear at UBCM. This conversation is going to happen. I think I'm going to support the motion just as an act of good faith to our tourism partners, and but also recognize that we're likely going to have this conversation anyway. As a result, be happy to speak to it at UBCM. Mr. McConnell.
Yes, Your Worship, I was just looking up through, just for information, I was looking up through these UBCM last year's resolution book in any event. There is a motion to withdraw a resolution from consideration is available on the floor at the time. So if council wants to do this, they may want to consider actually moving to withdraw. So for information.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I'd look procedurally, we're in committee of the whole. Do we have to rise from this meeting into a regular meeting in order to advance this resolution, this motion?
Yes, so we have the resolution on the floor ready to be voted on. And once that's done, we'll rise from committee of the whole. And then the next item on our agenda is items arising from committee of the whole, at which point we can take another vote.
Okay. Councillor Ramirez.
I had one thing to add, Your Worship, got missed in the conversation here. All I wanted to say was everything that was said by everyone is all pertinent, really important questions. There's a lot of complexity involved here. Wider conversations, yes, absolutely. At a provincial level, we got to have these conversations. But it's just that we have missed the first step. And the first step was engaging with our partners. And let's correct that and then go at a province-wide discussion is all I wanted to say.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you. I think we got that from your context. Thank you. With that, I will call the vote. All those in favor of the motion? So myself, Councillor Shoesmith, Councillor Ramirez, Councillor Kelly. And those opposed, Councillor McIsaac and Councillor Hamilton. Any further comments, questions? This is a tricky one insofar as I'd really like to be in the meeting with the Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture. I'd also like to speak to this when it comes to the floor. So I'm not at all.
If I may, Your Worship, it may be that after tonight's vote, the minister might not want to take the meeting. Because the only topic for conversation on that meeting is that resolution. Just again, for information.
That would have been useful information before the vote, Mr. McCall.
That vote was at committee.
Yeah. Then all the same.
I did share that, but that's the only thing that's in that discussion with the minister. So
Well, can we reframe the discussion with the minister? Such that we are talking about MRDT.
I'm leaving the request is there, the whole position is there. I'm not changing the communication with the minister. I'm just suggesting that the minister's office, if they hear of this, may choose to change it. Making it, because I have no intention to
communicate this to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, that's a fair comment. Mr. Barnowski.
Your Worship, we do have the opportunity to provide an update for information. I don't know that the minister would rescind their acceptance of the meeting, but it may become a very brief meeting without a focused real point to the dialogue. However, the long and short of it is I think you're talking about a very significant program overhaul regardless, and lockup happens the day after. And so it is essentially an opportunity to introduce an idea for future discussion regardless.
Yeah, and I think that's, I would continue to pursue the meeting with that in mind. However, as I say, as an act of good faith to our tourism partners, I didn't feel like taking the resolution forward in the current form was the right thing to do at this time. Councillor Ramirez?
can we consider an alternative subject with the minister?
I wouldn't, actually. I think this, it has created such a conversation in the province. I think it behooves us to continue with that conversation topic. Councillor Audie Kelly and then Mr. Bronowski.
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that MRDT just was renewed with a 5-year timeline. So I think your comment, Your Worship, about future renewals or iterations of the program would still be a valid topic with the minister, or other stable sources of funding for communities.
Yeah, I don't think it invalidates the discussion about the future and the future uses of MRDT. I don't think it necessarily invalidates it. Councillor McIsaac.
I think if we just voted to say we want to remove any resolution that supports MRDT program overhaul to support infrastructure, then yes, it literally says to the minister, we don't want to have that discussion with you. That's specifically what we just voted on, is to say, we're not going to have the discussion about MRDT overhaul.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's what that's what was just decided. So that's the only thing that's listed in our package is Fernie's resolution to UBCM regarding MRDT program overhaul to enable infrastructure, investment in infrastructure for the Minister of Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport. That's the only subject.
Yeah.
And so if we strike that off, there's no reason to meet with them, which means we can be in the resolution session because we won't have to be in that meeting.
But the fact that we don't have a resolution for it doesn't mean we cannot discuss the current and future state of MRDT with the minister.
Except that we just voted to say we don't want to do that. So then if we go in saying we want to have a discussion about overhauling it, we're actually literally acting against what we just did a resolution on.
No, I disagree. What we said was we don't want, we are not advancing a resolution at UBCM. Does not mean we don't want to have a discussion with the minister about, you're right, specifically about the resolution, true, but about the current and future state of MRDT, I don't think it invalidates that discussion. I think we can still have that discussion absent of a resolution. Councillor Ramadas?
I absolutely don't want to miss a chance for a FaceTime with the minister, Your Worship. Whatever topic you choose, let's go with it. But canceling the meeting is not advisable.
No, I wouldn't cancel the meeting, no. Any comments, Mr. Bronowski? You had your hand up a bit earlier.
Thank you, Your Worship. I only wanted to comment that the fact that you've withdrawn this resolution and I've affirmed a desire to consult more with Tourism Fernie and local stakeholders is a perfect discussion point with the minister to say, look, we were bringing this forward because we're at a crisis point, as are all tourism dependent communities. We've withdrawn it in the interest of collaboration, but we do need support and engagement. And there may be a fruitful discussion to be had there. Potentially. I can't pretend to know how the meetings go year over year because they change quite significantly at times.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that framing. And I think, and I guess that's a much better articulation of what I was thinking. But at the same time, I wouldn't predict any of these meetings given the writ will drop immediately post UBCM, and many of these will be, there'll be the new ministers, changes of portfolio, the whole thing is up for grabs. So even if we don't get the meeting, it may not be related to our change of direction here. Yeah, please.
One final reiteration, Mr. McConnell noted that we have requested the ministry staff meetings. So council will have the opportunity to meet with ministry staff and have that discussion regardless of which ministers do or do not accept those meetings. And we can, at the bookings desk while we are at the conference, request or coordinate additional meetings if so required.
Thank you. Mr. McConnell.
If I may, Your Worship. So in the form that we fill out, it outlines a few different things, which is 1, the topic, 2, the background, and 3, the request. the request indicates differently from like the background provides the resolution, but the request simply states, we are asking that the evolving needs of municipalities be recognized by providing flexibility in utilizing the MRDT funds to address critical infrastructure projects. So the request doesn't identify the resolution.
Thank you.
So
That's
if the minister, if for any reason I get communication, the minister is no longer interested, I will certainly advise council, but I will continue to impress upon the staff request as well.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Mr. McConnell's report? Other meetings with ministerial staff? Yes, Councillor McIsaac.
Nice peripheral vision there, Your Worship. I just wanted to make a very brief comment how we're going to go talk again about the Mount Fernie Park Road Highway 3 turn thing. And just today on my drive back from the Stanford with the dog, there is a car that like had an accident on the side of the road, not directly involving that intersection, but it is so busy and so challenging there. I really think we need to impress upon them that this will be your 4th or 5th meeting with them regarding this, and there's been zero movement. And I'd really like to see us raise the temperature on this a little bit and see if we can't get some timing commitment. Although, as you point out, with the writ dropping, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to go into limbo momentarily. But we really need some advancement on this particular subject.
Councillor Ramirez and then Councillor Hamilton.
Love the phrase raising the temperature there, Your Worship. Let's raise the temperature.
Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. In addition to that, you know, it has been 5 years plus that we've had this meeting about one particular intersection. But if, you know, to use the going phrase, we're raising the temperature, it's become a much more significant issue all along our highway corridor, you know, from Dickon Road or even Hosmer to the ski hill. And all of those different turning points and access points to the highway. We need the ministry to start really investigating a new solution for our Highway 3 corridor, because we're seeing accidents happening. Well, I'd love to get the actual stats on the number of motor vehicle incidents happening, but it seems to me like I live right by the highway and there's an ambulance and fire truck ripping out on the highway every day.
Yeah, you can get the injury incidents from ICBC if an injury was reported at that intersection. But if it was a fender bender and somebody from Alberta didn't report it, you can't get any of that data. So I'm not sure our best source of data for that.
I'm wondering if the fire department might have any data on the number of callouts that occur.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. We have had conversation with the ministry about that intersection, and up to and including a engineered design for signalization, but the entire conversation has been painfully slow, which, you know, to your point, 5 years on, and we've now been in office, well, less than 2 years, but coming on 2 years, and it hasn't moved significantly at all. So I think that's fair to turn the temperature up. Councillor Sue Smith. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Milligan. I'm going to add another coat of paint here, so to speak, because for a lot of the people in that corridor, it is a huge, huge, huge issue. And it's getting to be a bigger and bigger one. I will add that if you recall our last discussions at UBCM about this, their data for traffic numbers came from the east side of Fernie, and there was nothing they had between us and the ski hill, which, I mean, that's another several thousand trips a day that just doesn't show up in their numbers that they're unaware of. So I definitely think we need to belabor this in the strongest terms, because it's a matter of time before somebody we know will be in one of these severe accidents along that corridor.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think again, to use Councillor McIsaac's phrase about turning up the temperature and starting the conversation or rekindling the conversation in earnest to start moving along, appreciating we will have some ownership in this in terms of cost, because the two of the legs of that intersection of the four are our jurisdiction. So there will be some participation from the city of Fernie. Getting an answer as to what that will be is, again, part of that slow conversation that's been happening. So I'll just look to staff to ensure that we have that sort of detailed a briefing note in the discussion package for UBCM.
Certainly, Your Worship, and as noted, unfortunately, the Modi minister did reject the meeting, so we'd be looking to the staff meeting to be bringing that package.
Yeah, which is, I think, what we ended up with last year, wasn't it? It was a staff meeting as well. And the year before, yeah. Because somebody mentioned a roundabout and then they didn't want to talk about it. Councillor Hamilton.
I know this is a little bit off topic from the discussion of our minister meetings, but does the Highway 3 committee mayors and chairs speak with Modi about such things? And is that another angle that we can start leveraging and putting some weight behind too?
Yeah, and it's currently not on the 5 priority items on that group's efforts. And again, and maybe it's naivete on my part, that's likely my fault, because I felt like we were starting to get some motion when we got first a preliminary drawing and then an engineered drawing. So, you know, it's maybe time to get it back on their priority list as well, because they do speak with Modi quite directly. Yeah. Now, whether they speak to the minister or staff, I'm not 100% sure. There's a lot of staff between here and Hope. Councillor.
Oh, sorry, if I just may, I think the more people putting that bug in Modi's ear, no matter what level of staff or political elevation level, the better.
Fair. Councillor Amanis?
Is it too premature to talk about logistics, Your Worship?
I'm sorry?
Logistics of the meetings and what we want to do and things like those?
Yeah, we could certainly talk about that. I mean, that's sort of the point of the committee of the whole, is to talk about who wants to be where.
Yeah. All I wanted to say is, again, last year you did an excellent job taking on a lot of conversations and leading them. And if you wish for someone else to lead some of the sub conversations, either with the non-elected, are they called deputy ministers? The ones that are not elected.
Depends on who you get.
Yeah, regardless. Yeah, deputy ministers, or if you wish for someone to lead ministerial discussions, happy to step in. Again, we'll leave it to you, Your Worship.
Okay. I'd have to give it a bit more thought, having looked at this report, and Mr. McConnell, if you and I can work together to kind of break this down a little bit and kind of flesh it out, if you will, and then I can come back to council and we can talk about who wants to be where and when, if that makes sense.
If you think there's only one person who can do that job well, that is fine too. Either way, it doesn't. It's not a.
Yeah,
it's not
I'm
an
not
ultimate.
That ego invested in any of this, so believe me, Councillor McIsaac.
Thank you, Worship. Just so you know, my trust in you in this is absolute. But what I was going to say was the one thing I would suggest, now that everybody's had a chance to go through that whole process of sitting the meetings and all that stuff, that we consider doing a little bit more divide and conquer this year. While I think, especially in some of the more important ministerial meetings, it's great to have a full show of council and support. It's probably not necessary a lot of time, especially with the staff meetings. And we can do a little bit more divide and conquer and spread out a little bit to take in a few more of the sessions, ensure we're there at resolutions if there's an opportunity to speak and so on. So,
yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. So we'll work that up, Mr. McConnell, and send it back to council.
Yes, Your Worship, for sure. And as we've learned, if you don't mind me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I took over there. I apologize. We receive these notifications. They're just starting to come in a little bit more regularly. So what we can do is when I receive one, I can share out the meeting date, time, and then also specifically share out the EBCM registration that's going on at the time. And I will endeavor to arrange that. So it's provided to council in advance. If there is clear direction as to one or two members who are going to be taking the lead on something, and we know that before Tuesday the 10th, that would be great, because our goal is to get you all your binders at the council meeting on Tuesday the 10th.
thank you.
So
Yeah.
we'll try and arrange that at least, so that conversation can be had in some ways.
Yeah, the staff meetings in particular, I think having the right folks there versus everybody there felt like the right move. The ministerial ones feel a bit more formal, and some of those, and this is just sort of my impression, was the ministerial staff, when the minister was there, felt like they were paying a whole lot more attention to what was being said when the whole council was there and the minister was there. I don't know if that's just my perception or if others share that perception. Councillor Adia Kelly.
I think, your worship, that it's ultra important for you to definitely be at the minister meetings. You know, as the leader of Fernie and our council, I think you should be at all of them. That's just my opinion. Perhaps you don't need all of us with you, but as Councillor Ramadas said, you did an excellent job, and I think it shows the gravity and the respect when you're there as the mayor.
You know, I think so with the minister, certainly. And I also felt like it mattered to staff when the minister was there and all of council was present. Councillor McKenzie.
Thank you, Worship. I was just going to speak to your point about there is a difference when the minister's at the table and when the minister is not at the table and when it's staff there. And it's when the minister is there, the staff are hanging on their language and following their pathway. When the minister is not there, it's much more of a dialogue with the staff back and forth. And I think we get more opportunity to lead the discussion in that situation.
I think that's right.
I think that the staff, and rightly so, they defer to where the minister wants to take the conversation, but we have a lot more opportunity to direct it, I think, when it's directly with the staff. Having said that, I would not want to forego the minister meeting.
No.
Ultimately, they're the decider.
Yeah.
So we want those meetings, but there's benefits to both, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. No, I appreciate that perspective. So Mr. McConnell will provide us with the minister's meeting dates, times, and what's happening in the background, so we know we can spread ourselves around. Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. I know Mr. McConnell mentioned it, but perhaps could we make sure that we have some time on our September 10th meeting to look at that schedule and further this discussion once we actually know what our meeting times and locations, and compare and contrast to the program for the week?
Mr. McConnell, does that make sense?
Yes, Your Worship. I was actually looking to Mr. Baraneski. I do know that there is a report coming back, particularly towards the fire hall, which is intended to take the majority of the evening, so there wouldn't be much time we'd want to spend doing that necessarily. I don't want to step on that agenda item. But yes, we could certainly bring that back and address anything, or at least, you know, you'll have your binders and you can make your notes in your binders as determined, because it's your binder to help you navigate that. So we could certainly do that. But in the advance of that, I will definitely be sharing out the communications in advance with all of council, so they can compare the UBCM agenda and the minister meetings and staff meetings. I should point out that while I was up here, the resolutions book final is on the website already. So
yeah,
you can take a look at all the things that are on there. So, but yes, provided that cooperate well with the corporate officer, I'm sure we can get that done. It won't be a formal report. I won't have a it'll be kind of, but I'll talk with the corporate officer about
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further for Ms. McConnell? Seeing nothing, thank you. And I'll look for a mover or seconder that council return to the regular meeting. Moved by Councillor Ramadas, seconded by Councillor Shoesmith. Any discussion? All those in favor? Item 7, items arising from committee of the whole.
So the resolution for consideration is that council rescind the resolution regarding the overhaul of the MRDT program to enable investment in infrastructure made for consideration at UBCM.
Mover. Councillor Audie Kelly, seconded by Councillor Ramadas. Any further discussion? Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. I mean, as was discussed, I don't see this as being us precluding conversations with our community partners. I see this as being the necessary first step in the process to get this into the discussion, out into the public to discuss. And for that reason, I will be voting against this resolution.
Thank you. Councillor Audie Kelly.
I know it's already been said, and we're going to add some paint here, but probably the necessary first steps we didn't actually take. We should have had those conversations locally and possibly learned more about the impact before we went ahead with the resolution. I think we were remiss in that. I fully agree that we need other sources of funding for infrastructure. Bear in mind too, that it's all percentages as well. So to say that Tofino had enough money to work on their wastewater, well, their MRDT is, I don't know what the phrase is that I want to use, but light years different than ours. So I believe that we need more like what was discussed at FCM for stable sources of funding for municipalities. And I'm not necessarily sure that reorganizing, dismantling, whatever phrase we would like to use with MRDT is necessarily the answer. So, and apologies, I was of the understanding that we could, in fact, withdraw motions from the table. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Ramadas.
It just struck me, Your Worship. I distinctly remember someone from a community last year at UBCM actually rescinding the resolution on the floor. I remember that, so it is possible.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I think we got some insight into the process from Mr. McConnell. Yeah. So with that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? So myself, Councillor Audie Kelly, Councillor Ramadas, and Councillor Shoesmith. All those opposed? Councillor Hamilton and Councillor McIsaac. Thank you, everybody. Always an interesting discussion. Item 11, 11.1, a report from Director Logan on ST5 joint user agreement.
Sorry, you had to watch me get that up on the screen. Should you? I don't see my notes. What I do?
I apologize for that, sorry. So I'm excited to present this draft joint use agreement for council's consideration and approval. So starting off with what a joint use agreement actually is, it's a formal arrangement and a document between two organizations. It's very common between municipalities and school districts. This draft joint use agreement is for a 5-year term and would expire in 2029. The joint use agreement establishes terms and conditions for both organizations. For example, it includes booking procedures, timelines for use, and the facilities that are available for both organizations. It includes some shared goals and needs. For the school district, it would offer the use of municipal facilities to extend school programming for activities they'd otherwise not be able to perform in their own facilities, such as swimming or skating. And the city can use the school spaces for limited city programming and local user group activities. And we know there are many of them. It sets some clear expectations. So for example, in Schedule A, there are some terms and conditions for use by both parties that include information on the application, the payment and fees, the cancellation, the equipment use, and supervision and cleanup charges, to name a few. So a bit of a background, the previous agreement expired in October of 2022. Both parties upheld the agreement in good faith, and we started negotiations in the spring of 2023. The timing of the agreement was to follow the planned adoption of the Municipal Facilities and Parks User Fee and Regulation Bylaw number 2484, 2023, because most of its content was in this bylaw was needed to inform this joint use agreement. Some of the goals for the joint use agreement were to update the agreement to mirror language in the Municipal Facilities User Fee Bylaw and include SD5 rental rates as well. We wanted to include some language that clarified the maintenance of sports field to reflect our city outdoor sports field policy that was adopted a few years back. And the communication between the parties to share opening and closer information with users, which has been problematic in the past. We wanted to change the rental administration past practice of the city facilitating all the intake, approval, and payments of rentals for SD5 facilities and negotiate another 5-year term. And the school board has approved this draft attached to the report in June 2024. Some significant changes just to highlight for the council are we've updated it to mirror the language in the Municipal Facility Parks and Regulation Fee Bylaw. It includes priority of use, rental cancellation fees, supervision cleanup instructions, and the schedule in the back of the agreement outlines the fee structure and rental rates for the city that fluctuate with CPI every year. The rental administrative process has changed, which we're most excited about. So now the SD5 administrative office in Cranbrook now handles indoor facility rentals and payments. And the city will continue to manage rentals and revenue for cities or for the school sports fields. And all those rentals are now subject to staff availability, including cost recovery related to added staff. So for example, with the school district, if there's more custodian staff required, that'll be charged back to the users. And then on the flip side, for example, if we have some language clarifying when additional guards would then be added to an SD5 rental. And then also to incorporate past practice, which wasn't documented in the previous joint use agreement. The agreement now includes the school graduation ceremonies as a free rental. So however, the staff time, equipment, and special requests may incur some extra charges. And prom is not considered part of the joint use agreement and is subject to the bylaw 2484. The school district does not recognize prom as a school activity. Therefore, it's not covered under the joint use agreement. We also removed the steering committee due to the inactivity. During my tenure, the committee has never met, and both parties just agreed to meet as needed for interpretation and discrepancies within the agreement.
Sorry, Mr. Logan, from the previous agreement, who made up the steering committee?
I feel it's just a boilerplate. Oh, like who was in the
Yeah.
committee? It didn't actually specify exactly. I think there was a couple members of each side that would meet fairly regularly throughout the year just to discuss how it was or wasn't working.
Okay.
And I feel that relationship's good enough with the person I've been talking to from the school district where we could just have that conversation ad hoc.
Thank you.
So in summary, this joint use agreement ensures efficient use of municipal and school facilities benefiting students and user groups. It will improve our booking services and overall user experience on the city's end. And city staff are eager to implement the joint use agreement and expect significant department service and efficiency improvements. Thank you, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. Councillor Artie Kelly.
Thanks, Your Worship. Director Logan, I'm thinking that it's because these things don't exist, but on it's my page 38 of the arena in the actual bylaw. Under non-commercial local, it has a small conversion setup and takedown and large, but no fees. So I'm guessing that that doesn't exist in that sense. And then there would be the same thing under dry pad, like there's small conversion, but there's no dollar figures. So I just wanted to make sure that there is in fact not such a thing, and that's why there's no dollar figures.
If you could just give me a second to find that. Sorry, what page?
Thanks, Harsh, or Councillor Ramadas. Facility rental rates, arena. 38 for me. Yeah.
Okay, there we are. I would have to find out additional information. There is a past practice of actually applying that conversion fee for larger events. And I'm not entirely sure why it's not included in this list of fees.
Thanks, Director. And I did want to say that I thought really great work was done here. So thank you.
Other questions, comments from council? Mr. Baranowski.
Mr. Logan suggested to me that the conversion rate figures need to be updated for CPI. I think that's accurate. And upon updating, we can bring back an amendment to adjust those numbers accurately without impacting the rest of the bylaw in the future.
Right. Okay. Mr. Logan?
I could add further to, if I was more prepared, I would have brought the document that would describe some of the comments and notes while developing this user fee bylaw, where it would explicitly say why things were what they cost or why they may have been omitted.
Thank you.
So I apologize for not being prepared.
On Page 3, I think it's on page 2 of the report. It talks about improved Prentice Park field conditions. What, how do we work to, can you explain that to me?
Actually, this was a conversation that was stemmed from developing a draft joint use agreement with the French school during the consideration of selling Max Turk. Because there was potential to have a reduction in that field use much further on. And the feedback that we've got from many user groups is that the SD5 field is unsafe and that there's some concerns about using it for soccer. So part of the development through this joint use agreement was to create some language where the two parties would work together collaboratively to improve the field quality overall. The income we make from rental of the field is quite minimal, around $2,000-ish. And that would be just put towards, some fertilizer or top dressing or just some basic maintenance that we would try and partner up with the SD5 maintenance staff and attack together in the spring.
Okay.
Just to, eventually improve the condition over many years.
Over time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I guess it's early days, there's no consideration of the new school, proposed school in Fernie, and I can understand why, because it's a 5-year agreement. We may not see a new school completed in 5 years, but is there an active conversation about what that will look like? And given the loss of the recent loss of the community center, opportunities for us to partner with school district on facilities on that site? Are we investigating that? Is that something we're doing?
There was no talks during the negotiation of this
No, fair
joint use
enough.
agreement, of course, because it sort of predates the announcement of the school. However, I would think that there would be discussions and would be a welcome discussion between the two groups.
Mr. Baranowski?
Very, very preliminary discussions. And it is just at present the most difficult time to communicate with this school
Of course.
district, of course. But yeah, the intent is fully to continue to engage and try to develop a partnered approach to community space at the new school, see what our opportunities are.
Thank you. Councillor Adia Kelly.
Thanks, Your Worship. Would it be too late to possibly request to meet with the Ministry of Education or their staff to just kick off a dialogue like that at UBCM?
Yeah, I expect the deadline is passed.
If I may, Your Worship,
Yeah.
the deadline to request meetings is passed. However, there is an appointment book at the conference and we can certainly meet with staff. Ideally, the ministry and finance will provide approval for the school district to advance the project and the direction on the delivery method, how it needs to be advanced and what it needs to deliver. However, the partnerships and those are generally handled at the school district level. But certainly when we're there, we can seek an appointment in the appointment book and continue to approach, or I will continue to approach my counterparts at the staff level with the school district.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Logan? I didn't have any other questions. There are a couple of minor typos in the agreement. I can just flip them to you. They don't affect the content of the agreement, so we'll go into them here, and I don't think they'd affect the resolution either. Thank you. With that, I'll ask Ms. Daniel to read the resolution, if you don't mind.
That council approve the proposed joint use agreement between the City of Fernie and School District 5 as attached to this agenda.
Moved by Councillor Hamilton, seconded by Councillor Adia Kelly. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Logan. Sorry. With that, item 15, reports from council members. I'll start on my right and go to Councillor Adia Kelly.
Not a ton of things for me with community events, other than I had the honor of attending former Councillor Anselmo's funeral service today. It was lovely. It was very well attended, and the family was grateful for the support. On a personal note, my youngest daughter got married on the weekend, so it was a bit of a busy time for me that way. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Congratulations. Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you. Really, the only thing I have to report is that I've started the onboarding process with the library to be their council liaison. And one thing that came up in the discussion that I feel is very pertinent to our table as well is part of all of their engagements or meetings or anything like that in their debrief. One of the questions they ask themselves is who didn't show up and why not? And I think that just really resonated me. And I think that's something that we can maybe start to try to apply to our community engagement things and debrief from, who didn't show up and why not? Are they from marginalized community? Is it not an accessible space in some regard, whatever regard, and work towards improving those outcomes for everybody in our community?
Oh, I think that's an excellent idea. Thank you. Councillor Ramirez.
Nothing major to report. I'm just looking forward to derbying this weekend.
Councillor McKaiser.
Nothing to report, Your Worship. Other than good luck at the Derby this weekend for people around the table who might be involved.
Councillor Shoesmith.
Thank you, Mayor Milligan. Yeah, for obvious reasons, I can't talk about any of that if I were involved. So nothing to report.
Thank you. And so I think that's everybody. For me, it was, we had another council cafe at, I think it was the 19th of August. Given it was summer, we've had great attendance. We had good attendance at this one. I want to thank everybody who keeps coming out to those. I find them very, very valuable, and look forward to the next one. And had the distinct honor, actually, of officially dedicating the new mural on the Legion, and it was a great event, and it's a beautiful piece of work, and it was great to meet the artist and hear the story of how he committed to do it in a week and was told that was impossible, and he had it finished in 6 days. And I love actually how he has integrated some of the facets of the building into his mural. It works really, really well. So it adds a certain level of life to an important public space, Station Square. So encourage everybody to get down to have a look at it. And with that, I will turn to Ms. Daniel and ask her to read the resolution to close, please.
That the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to section 91C of the Community Charter, as the subject matter being considered at this time relates to labor relations or other employee relations.
Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Ramirez, seconded by Councillor Hamilton. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. We will go into close. We'll take a 10-minute recess. As I understand, Councillor Shoesmith is going to